A very active weather pattern ahead as we go into late March and early April, as more severe weather is expected, as well as some heavy rainfall and even winter hanging on with more snow. So make sure to subscribe to my channel for the latest accurate and reliable weather information. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and with anybody that you know. I definitely do appreciate it. Let's get into the weather forecast for this weekend. We're seeing some warmer air across the Great Plains with above average temperatures, and areas to the east across the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and the Southeast are going to be trending near normal to below normal with our temperatures this weekend. Same thing across the Pacific Northwest. So the warmest of our air will be across the middle of the country there in the Great Plains, and that will fuel some severe thunderstorms as we go into today. Here's the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center from Norman, Oklahoma. Day one risk here, this is a dark green area of a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk of severe weather from Missouri into Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, and extreme northwestern Arkansas. This is mainly going to be a later day and more so an overnight event, and I'll show you just why that is. We have a very dry atmosphere in the low levels. Our dew points are in the 20s and the 30s. It's going to take a lot of time to get those dew points up into the 40s and 50s, and it won't happen until well after dark and really well after midnight. So the wee hours of the morning on Sunday, those dew points across Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas will finally recover into the 40s and the 50s by then. And it's going to be a kind of an unfavorable time of day for severe weather as well. So let's go through the day. You can see midday here, very quiet across the middle of the country. We have energy coming in from the north and west, and notice this evening, even for dinner time, very, very quiet here. Probably seeing some cumulus clouds pop up across portions of the central high plains. And then as we go into well after dark, we're talking after 10 o'clock this evening, thunderstorms may start to pop up somewhere across the mid or lower Missouri River Valley here. We're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that. And then we're going to start to see more of those thunderstorms grow in a cluster as they move further east in towards eastern Missouri, downstate Illinois, and western Kentucky. One or two of these storms could have some gusty winds with them, some hail, and maybe a very brief isolated tornado threat. But with the moisture being so low in the 40s and 50s with the dew points, I don't think the tornado threat is going to be that ominous as we go into overnight. Now looking at Sunday, a little bit heightened of a day for severe weather along that cold front. We have a marginal risk extending all the way up into Kentucky as far west as central Texas. That is a level 1 out of 5. In the level 2 out of 5, slight risk in yellow from Memphis down there into northern Mississippi, southeast Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and far east Texas. Those areas will be the potential for more scattered severe storms. And looking at the hazards, we're looking at 60 mile per hour winds and some quarter size hail being the main threat here. But in the green, there is a 2% chance of an isolated tornado or two within a 25 mile point of any given location here in this green shaded color. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Dew points will be a lot more higher as we go into Sunday. Notice the dry air well behind that here into Kansas, Oklahoma, and the Texas Panhandle. Single digits to teens with our dew points. Very, very dry atmosphere. And then ahead of the cold front, dew points surging to the 60-degree mark all the way up into Kentucky. And that will set the stage for a lot of storm energy out there, a lot of instability these storms get to work with. Over 2,000 joules per kilogram will get it done this time of year. The strongest instability is going to be further south into East Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. So going in towards the morning hours, we still have that cluster of showers and storms, probably elevated in nature. Probably not surface-based across portions of the Midwest there into the Ohio Valley. That will ignite more storms with maybe some outflow boundaries further south as we go into the afternoon and then into the evening hours here on Sunday. Notice a very skinny line here, so not everybody is going to see severe weather, but the potential is there for some gusty winds, some hail, and a few isolated tornadoes going into your Sunday evening, and then that will all shift toward the Gulf Coast as we go into Monday morning. Going into Monday, we have another marginal risk of severe weather from New Orleans stretching eastward into southern Georgia and toward the Big Bend of Florida there. That is on Monday, March 24th. Again, gusty winds, hail, and an isolated brief tornado may still be on the table as we go into early next work week. This will also have a cold side to it, so we're going to see some snowfall with this as we go through the weekend. Notice we're seeing in the blue the snow And maybe even in the pinks, purples, a wintry mix of some sleet and some freezing drizzle as well up there toward Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan going into your Sunday morning. And then going through the day on Sunday, it looks like a heavy burst of snow across the north and central portions of the state of Wisconsin. That could drop maybe an inch per hour snow rates up there, and then that will translate into Michigan as we go into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, and then seeing that snow fly across New York State, perhaps northern Jersey, western Massachusetts as we go into the wee hours of the morning on Monday, March 24th. This will spread some significant rains further north, so even areas that don't see the severe weather could see some soaking rains, places like Milwaukee, Chicago, Indianapolis, Louisville, over there towards Cincinnati and Columbus. And then we have more snowfall potentially further to the north across northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, northern lower Michigan as well. Could be seeing some areas there getting anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of snow. The heaviest there will be north of Lake Superior over there on the Canadian side in Ontario. That's where we could be seeing potentially over 8 inches worth of snow with some of those snow bands up there. And then some of the snow spreading across the northeast like New York State, northern and northeast Pennsylvania into western Massachusetts, Vermont. Those areas could see up to 2 inches as we go through Monday. Now going into next week, here is the height anomaly map. And basically what this shows is you get a ridge of high pressure further to the west that promotes warmer temperatures, a trough of low pressure to the east that promotes cooler temperatures, more active weather, and that is exactly what we see on the temperature anomaly map on that 5-day average next week. This is from Monday, March 24th, all the way through Friday, March 28th. Warmer really across the western third of the United States, or the western half of the United States, and then cooler across the western third here, especially from the Great Lakes down to the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Southeastern Canada from around Hudson Bay, Ontario and Quebec will also be cooler than normal as well. And notice the brightest of the reds and oranges are across the central and high Great Plains. Those areas are going to be, drought stricken, right? So drier ground is going to heat up much faster. So that's why we see the more above normal anomalies there. Now looking here at the precipitation anomalies, pretty dry across the east. I think we have quite a bit of rain on the way for south central Texas and the Rio Grande, and actually a pretty active pattern up there in the Pacific Northwest and southwestern Canada as well. So walking you through next week, we're walking out the system that we have this weekend, and then we have that northwesterly flow, and you have some weaker systems. The northwesterly flow is not really typical for getting a lot of moisture across the United States, but it could bring every 1 to 3 days a weak system down from Canada with rain or snow, and that'll really continue as we go through Friday on March 28th. Notice there is some rain to go around. Now, we aren't going to see a complete dry pattern in the east, right? We're going to see drier than normal conditions, but that doesn't mean we can't see any rain or snow. The heaviest precipitation will be in the Pacific Northwest over here, Washington State, Oregon, Northern California, seeing a few inches of rain, and then the Rio Grande Valley and down here into south central Texas, even parts of West Texas here, holding on to some hope for some rainfall, and it could be a soaking rain as we could see double-digit rainfall totals. Yeah, some areas could see up to 10, 12 inches there in south central Texas just through Saturday, March 28th or 29th time frame. And then looking here at the snowfall, it's going to be colder to the north, so the snow is going to be more significant for the Cascades, British Columbia, and then up there in the southern Canadian prairies, the upper Great Lakes region toward Lake Superior, and then maybe some snow there for interior sections of the northeast, north and west of the I-95 corridor next week. Now, as we go into later next week, we are watching a signal on the ensemble guidance, and it's been a consistent signal as well that this ridge out west is going to shift further east, and this could introduce a trough across the west, at least briefly here into late March, and this trough will eject somewhere across the middle of the country, likely toward the upper Midwest, and this has a potential to bring a larger scale storm system with it that could bring more soaking rains here up toward the Midwest and some snow to the Great Lakes, and then some more heavy rain and significant severe weather further to the south towards the lower Mississippi Valley, the Southern Plains, and Dixie Alley. So that is something we're going to watch towards the end of March, likely likely the 29th, 30th, and 31st time frame there of March. Also, something we're watching is as we head into April, here's your monthly temperature outlook from the NOAA Climate Prediction Center. We are seeing warmer than normal temperatures favored across the Four Corners region, South Texas, Florida, and then up the East Coast. Equal chances of above or below normal temperatures across the Pacific Northwest and downstream across the Midwest, Great Lakes, and parts of the Ohio River Valley. And then looking at precipitation, looks active up there across the Pacific Northwest, looks active there in the Midwest and the Great Lakes, much drier than normal across the Four Corners region. That also includes Nevada and Southern California, much of the Lone Star State of Texas as well, and then along the Gulf Coast toward Florida, very below normal for our April outlook. Now, again, this is an average of 30 days, okay? So that doesn't mean just because it says below normal to the south that we're going to see rainfall here, rainfall deficits the entire month. We're going to see some, rainfall at times, but we're going to see a lot of below normal days. And then further to the north here as well, on the contrary, it doesn't mean that we see above normal, that we're going to see rain and snow every single day in the Pacific Northwest or the Midwest Great Lakes. It just means that we're going to see on the 30-day average wetter than normal conditions. So you guys get what I'm saying. That is what we're looking at as we go into April. So thank you all for watching the weather forecast here for today, and I appreciate that. No evening video today. We're just going to have a one a day until we get an active pattern with a bigger storm. We're going to just do one a days for now. We're going to have another video forecast out for you tomorrow, so be looking out for that. Turn on post notifications for that. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media. For now, that's all I got for the weather, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Saturday out there.